وصلاة ربي وسلامه ورحمته وبركاته على ذاك النبي الكريم نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We continue in Kitaab At-Tawheed, 7 o'clock p.m., Friday, October the 18th, which is now the 20th night of Safar. If I'm not mistaken, it's the 20th night, even though it might say on some of everyone or some of the brothers' calendars the 19th. I think tonight is the 20th night of Safar, the year 1441 after the Hijrah of Mustafa alayhi salatu wassalam. We continue Kitaab At-Tawheed, clarifying some of the types of magic. As we said, the first type of magic is what is connected with superstitions that are performed either by the birds or what is predicted, basically having knowledge or claiming to have knowledge of the unseen by drawing lines on the ground, or I'll just wait till the fire engine passes. Or what they used to believe in of evil omens or superstitions or bad luck or the likes of those matters in which the people of Jahili were upon before the Messenger of Allah came and decimated all these affairs and ridded the ummah of them. As we said for last class, we'll find, just before I wanted to start and what we wanted to continue to speak about today, that you'll find that all these matters in which the great Imam, Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, rahimahullah, which he clarified how evil these matters were, was something that during the time of the Jazirat al-Arab, meaning before the great Imam started his da'wah islahiyah, before he started his call of rectification, when the land or the peninsula of the Arabs had went back to darkness, of what we know currently of Saudi Arabia, when the great Imam had came with his da'wah of rectification, and who aided him was the great Imam, likewise, rahimahullah, Muhammad ibn Saud. Before he came, the people were involved in all these affairs, from polytheism, the worship of statues, and affairs of superstitions, myths, people that claim to have knowledge of the people that claim to have knowledge of the unseen, practicing of magic. All these matters was what was taking place all at once before the great Imam embarked upon ridding the Jazirat al-Arab, the Arab Peninsula, of these matters. So you find that all of them are tied in together, of shirk, kahana, sihr, nujum, the belief of the stars have an effect or an impact over this world, of different types of occurrences that take place, whether it be of, for example, wars, or people dying, or people being born, which is all pertaining to the stars. All of this is what the people were involved in. So you can imagine the magnitude of darkness in which the people were in at that particular time before he started his call of rectification. So all this type of darkness was taking place at the same time before he embarked upon spreading the correct call of Tawheed. So that's the reason why what we're speaking about now, you'll find that they're connected, of shirk, polytheism, what is pertaining to also magic. And you'll notice, like we said in the following chapters, if you look in your books, one comes up after the other. We talked about some of the types of magic, and what comes after it is what? Kahana. Things pertaining to soothsaying or fortune telling, or I claim to have knowledge of the unseen, or predictions. And what comes after that was what they call a nushra. What does the meaning of nushra? As we'll talk about that, inshallah. Nushra is also connected with magic. But nushra is something slightly different, which we'll talk about, inshallah. Nushra is what is used to combat magic, to repel it. But it's still connected of some type of way to what everyone, to magic. Then if you look at the chapter that comes after that, then it's talking about what? Evil omens. So as if he's given an introduction to what's to come in detail. So that's what he's doing now here in the book. These chapters and what we've been covering, or what we covered. It's as if those coming chapters he's going to really go into depth about certain matters that are connected with all these affairs, which are from the affairs of Jahiliyyah. We talked about the types of magic. If you look in your books, the first one that we gave, number one, is what they call iyafa. The iyafa meaning releasing the birds, depending on what direction they fly in, that the affair will either be what? Evil or good, or the outcome would be good or evil, depending which direction the birds fly in. And we said that this is from the affairs of magic in which the Messenger of Allah made. And then he said it's from Jibt, if you notice in the hadith. These superstitions, or these belief in bad luck, or these myths are connected with Jibt. We said that one of the meanings of the word Jibt in the Arabic language is sihr, is magic. Also, we talked about from the types of magic is a tarq, pertaining to the affairs of what people used to draw lines on the ground and predict events taking place based upon either them drawing lines on the ground, or they had different types of ways they would do it. They would do it with their feet, or tracks with their feet of certain things that are drawn on the ground and predicting that such and such event will take place based upon the tracks being this way or that way, and the likes of what we mentioned. Taib. All these affairs are from magic. They are tied in with magic because it's claiming to have knowledge of the unseen. And like we said, all of these affairs are based upon satanic inspiration. Inspiration from the shayateen, from the devils, in which they inspired the people in order for the people to go deeper and deeper in the darkness and disbelief. So that was from the type of magic. So number one was the iyafa, and the second was tarq, and the third was a tiyara. But tiyara, like we said, we'll talk about that in the chapter that's going to come in about another 2 or 3 chapters. Is going to have a whole chapter speaking about it, especially what happened with Prophet Musa and his people. Also, we said that the meaning, or from the types of magic, is the knowledge of the stars, as we said last class. What do we say? Based upon the hadith of Ibn Abbas, if you look in your books, what does it say, everyone? من اقتسب الشعبة من النجوم فقد اقتسب شعبة من السحر زاد ما زاد. That whoever acquires a branch of the stars. We said that the meaning of اقتسب is ta'allama. Ta'allama. Whoever learns a branch of the stars. What do you mean branch of the stars? Meaning the knowledge of the stars that's pertaining to what they call al-hawadith al-ardiyya, current events that take place in this world. Of that, the stars are linked to what takes place based upon their position, or whether or not one is coupled with another star, or what have you, that certain things are going to take place based upon this. This is what's prohibited, and this is from magic. And like we said, we know that it's all tied in to what is called in these days and times, that is pertaining to what they call astrology and things of that nature. So all this is a rebuttal against those who partake in these matters pertaining to what? Astrology, and believing they have some type of zodiac sign, and based upon that it has some type of effect on their life, whether it be their love life, or whether it be in their business, whether it be when they will die, or predicting when they will die. And all these matters are from the affairs that are inspiration from the devils. These are inspiration from the shayateen, that they reveal to their awliya, that they reveal to those who are close to them in order to mislead the people. So that is another type of magic. And we said last class that this breaks down to what? 2 categories. We have, as far as the stars, what did we say last class? You have what they call ilm al-ta'thir. That's what we said last class. The ilm al-ta'thir. The knowledge, as far as in regards to the stars, that it breaks down to 2 categories. We said the first one is what, everyone? The ilm al-ta'thir. Ta'thir meaning that the stars have some type of impact or influence or effect over your life. Some type of impact or influence or effect over your life. That's called ilm al-ta'thir. The ilm al-ta'thir is the belief that the stars has some type of impact or influence or effect over your life. that we know that is impermissible. Those affairs are impermissible. They are highly prohibited. And these narrations that we covered said that it is a type of magic. It's a type of magic. This type of belief. طيب. The second type, what we said about the stars, which is called what everyone? Ilm wa tasyir. Tasyir. The knowledge of facilitation. Meaning, what the stars are utilized to facilitate or pave the way for those who embark upon journeys or traveling and so on and so forth. For the stars are utilized to guide the travelers in their journeys and in their travels, or the stars are utilized for certain times, certain times or seasons. For verily, that is permissible, like we said. That's permissible. For directions, directions or times, all of that's permissible. For example, what is utilized, don't stop biting your nails. What is utilized, for example, when to plant certain seeds in the ground so they can harvest when they mature or when they become ripe at the end of a certain specific time. Not saying that it's going to that they're going to predict certain things, but this is the time now to plant and start doing start planting our seeds in the ground and performing that agriculture and preparing a harvest for later on that season or that particular time. So there's nothing wrong with that. Or as far as calculating of certain months when they come in or when they end, when the new month begins or when Ramadan begins, that's all time. Now all of that is what? Impermissible. You just addicted to them nails, huh? Cut your nail. Focus. You understand? Right, so that's what we mentioned and said. That's called tasyir. Tasyir is to facilitate something. What is used as what? For directions. And we know that the signs, the alamat, so the signs, you have earthly signs, which is utilized by the travelers. And we have also alamat samawiyah, or those heavenly signs, which is the stars, which are also utilized by travelers. And they're both used. As the travelers use the different types of lands or the mountains, the things of that nature to be guided in their journey so they won't become lost. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about in his book, in Surah An-Nahl, which is the third page of Surah An-Nahl, وَأَلْقَى فِي الْأَرْضِ رَوَاسِيَ أَن تَمِيدَ بِكُمْ وَأَنْهَارًا وَسُبُلًا لَعَلَّكُمْ تَهْتَدُونَ وَعَلَامَاتٍ وَبِالنَّجْمِ هُمْ يَهْتَدُونَ. As Allah Ta'ala says in his book, وَأَلْقَى فِي الْأَرْضِ رَوَاسِي أَن تَمِيدَ بِكُمْ وَأَنْهَارًا وَسُبُلًا لَعَلَّكُمْ تَهْتَدُونَ. That we have cast in the earth the mountains, the rawasi, أَن تَمِيدَ بِكُمْ, so that the ground will not shake from beneath you. We have cast it. وَأَلْقَى فِي الْأَرْضِ رَوَاسِي أَن تَمِيدَ بِكُمْ. We have cast in the earth the mountains to keep the earth stable, to keep it from shaking from under you. And rivers and landmarks in order for you to be guided. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started off in the ayat with what they call alamat ardiyah. He started off in the ayat which is the signs of the ground, or the earthly signs. The earthly signs in the land. From what? From the mountains, the rivers, and the different roads that we see. For those type of signs, the travelers utilize them in order to be what? Guided the right way, so they would not become lost. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the signs that are in the heavens. وَعَلَامَاتٍ وَبِالنَّجْمِ هُمْ يَهْتَدُونَ. And by the stars they are guided, meaning they are utilized for directions. طيب. So that's what we mentioned. That's called ilmu wa tasyir. Tasyir. That's permissible to learn. that's permissible to learn, in which these days have become a little bit, people have become lax and they're more relying on these different types of ways of technology. And one day, inshallah, people will have to rely on the time or the way or the method that's old in order for them to attain certain types of benefits in their travels where they weren't in the last days on this earth where people will go back to utilizing this. So that's what we talked about in regards to the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the hadith. If you look in your books, what did we say, everyone? Whoever learns a branch of the stars. Which category is this speaking about, this hadith? Talking about the first category. Yarhamukallah. The first category, which is the knowledge of what? Ta'thir. That's what's impermissible. Also, this is a type of magic. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever learns a branch of this, then they have learned a branch of what? Magic. Sihr. It says it clearly. Sihr. Zada mazad. The more you increase in learning it, the more you increase in learning more magic. So that's another type of magic. So that's what we learned briefly in last class. Let's go on to the next hadith. We said the hadith of Abu Hurairah. By the way, what's Abu Hurairah's real name? Abu Hurairah's real name is what? AbdurRahman ibn Sakhr al-Dawsi. AbdurRahman ibn Sakhr. Sakhr al-Dawsi. Al-Yamani. AbdurRahman ibn Sakhr al-Dawsi. And we know that Daws was a tribe from Yemen. Daws. It says in the hadith, من عقد عقدة ثم نفث فيها فقد سحر ومن سحر فقد أشرك ومن تعلق شيئا وكل إليه. يرحمك الله. It says in the hadith, whoever, we already discussed this, whoever ties a knot, then he blows in it, or he ties it, then he blows with a little mist. As we said, that's the meaning of nafth. Nafth has a light mist with it. Then he indeed has committed magic. But we said that the hadith is not talking about fixing something. It's not speaking about that. Like you might tie a string and might blow on it with a little bit of spit to make it muhkam, to make it tight, so it will not come apart. That's not what we're speaking about. We're speaking about here that the person is doing this type, or performing this type of knot and blowing on it. His intention is to perform magic. So that's what it's speaking about here. It's not talking about fixing something in construction or tying a knot on your shoe to make it so it don't become untied. It's not speaking about that. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? It's talking about what is done when a person is intentionally trying to what? Cast some type of spell or harm someone by utilizing the shayateen. So the intention is to what? To perform magic. That's what's intended here. It says, Man sahara faqad ashrak. And whoever practices magic, indeed he has committed polytheism. And whoever is connected with something, he will be entrusted to it. Before we go on, I wanted to speak about what these different narrations, is something that the people asked about a couple of weeks ago. The brothers had asked me. Firstly, number one, you'll find in these narrations the severe warning, as we know, or as we just covered now, for the one who learns magic, of course, what it leads to of disbelief. Of course, we know. Why? Because of claiming knowledge to have, or because of one claiming to have knowledge of the unseen. Just as you'll find during the times of old, there was an individual, his name was Abi Ma'shar. And he was from those famous magicians, he says, in which you'll find that certain people in the Muslim lands, they used to call them, for example, يَتَسَمُّونَ بِأَسْمَاء إِسْلَامِيَّةٍ يَغُرُّونَ بِهِ النِّسَاء وَضَعْفَةُ الْعُقُولِ. He said there was an individual, his name was Abu Ma'shar. And he said he was someone that was prominent amongst the magicians. And they said they used to use Islamic names in which they used to captivate the women and those who were weak in their intellects and minds. He says, and what they did was the shayateen became involved in the people, meaning in the cities. and their brothers from the magicians in that particular time. And they became involved amongst the people. So they started to bring these weird type of names and these weird type of images. From those images, this is why I want everyone to be aware of where I'm going with this. They said from their practices was what they call a tanweem al-mighnatisi, hypnotism. He said from their practices was what? They used to practice something called a tanweem al-mighnatisi. Al-mighnatisi comes from the word magnet. Al-mighnatisi. At-tanweem al-mighnatisi. Hypnotism. So from the practices of the magicians, they used to hypnotize people. They used to hypnotize people. So listen to what the great Imam Ibn Baz that he mentioned, he's saying this right here. He said, جديدة وصورا كذلك مثل اسم التنويم المغناطيسي. That they used to perform hypnotism ومناجاة الأرواح واستحضارها بأنواع من الحيل والتعازيم المتمدمنة أيضا. To the end of it. He said that they used to use hypnotism and they used to so-called claim that they had secluded conversations with spirits. And calling upon them by using different types of satanic tricks and different types of what they call at-ta'azim al-mutamadmina, that they used to also use different types of concoctants or different types of spells that they used to also use amongst the people in the cities also. So the point of why I'm mentioning this is because people ask me in regards to what? Hypnotism. Is it considered magic? We say yes. You're not supposed to hypnotize anyone. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? The hypnotism is a form of the practice of the magicians. That's initially where it came from. Then the people started adopting it in certain types of medicines where you have to be careful. So that I wanted to mention and bring everyone's awareness to that. So that affair of hypnotism, one should not do it. It's from the affairs of sihr. So if you notice in the hadith, let me go back to this. In Nasa'i, what we were covering, it says, whoever ties a knot and then he blows into it. We talked about what is the uqda, or what is the ruqya shar'iyah, what is the permissible incantation with blowing in your hands in a light mist, as we talked about last class. We talked about the dua the Messenger of Allah would make at the time before he would go to sleep, and he would recite Surah Al-Ikhlas with the Mu'awwidhatayn. Then after that, the Messenger of Allah would gather his hands like this and blow into it. A light mist. Then he will wipe over his body as much as he could. That type of incantation is permissible. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? As long as one believes that the protection takes place by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has to have that firm i'tiqad, and that this dua was just a mere means to attain that protection. Is it clear what I'm saying? That was a mere legislated means to attain the protection of Allah. But that type of ruqya, legislated incantation, is permissible. If one wants to utilize some type of nafth. We said nafth is a blow with what? With a little slight mist. A mist of spit, a little bit. That's nafth. Then you have tafal. Then you have busaq. Then you have tanakham. You have different types. Then you have imtikhat. There's a lot. Imtikhat means to blow your nose in Arabic. Imtakhit means to blow your nose. Tanakham means to hog spit. Yatanakham. It even sounds like it. Rajulun yatanakham means to gather his mucus and spit it out. Then you have yamtakhit, which means to blow your nose. Then you have tafal. Tafal just means to spit. Tafal. Then you have basaq. Basaq also means to spit, which is saliva. And you have words what they call lu'ab or yal'ab. People think la'ib means playing around, but it also means saliva just drip out of your mouth. Because it comes from the word lu'ab. Lu'ab means saliva, it basically means to drool out of your mouth. Lu'ab. Lu'a means drool. It just drools and just falls out of your lip. Here we're talking about nef. Nef is a blow with a slight little mist of saliva. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? But there's certain times where you could do that. And that was from the times where we mentioned last class, after Isha, for example, before one goes to sleep, that he reads Surah Al-Ikhlas with the two Mu'awwidhatayn, Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas 3 times, blow in his hands lightly and wipe over his body. That is permissible. With the condition, like we said, that one believes that the protection comes from Allah. طيب. So it says in the hadith, whoever practices magic, indeed he has committed polytheism. He has committed polytheism. And whoever is connected with something, he will be entrusted to it. طيب. What's the connection? As you'll find during the times of Jahiliyyah, and the times of pre-Islamic ignorance, the belief, you'll find that the people used to go to the magicians and go to the fortune tellers and people who claim to have knowledge of the unseen and the jugglers and the astrologers. They used to go to these people and their hearts used to be attached to them. Their hearts used to be attached to them. Or not only were they attached to the magicians and the soothsayers and people who claim to have knowledge of the unseen, you'll find that their hearts were also attached to the dead. To the dead. And from those who are close to the shayateen. So all these affairs are considered darkness upon darkness, which is similar to the days that we live in. Of what we see of certain affairs that the people are involved in. So, the people now who believe that the magicians, of course, and that magic, that it can harm or benefit one besides Allah, what will come as a result of it, they will be entrusted to these people. That's the reason why you'll find that the people, especially those who are involved in these matters, you'll find that they're always in a state, that they're always scared, or they always have severe anxiety, or very anxious, or worried. You'll find that they're always just in a state of fright and horror, and they're never at ease, and they're never calm. Rather, you'll find these affairs increasing them in their sickness, augmenting their sicknesses. That's the reason why we talked about in the last class, and if we look in the beginning of Kitaab At-Tawheed, that we talked about Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, that when his wife was wearing something on her body to protect her from a sickness. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud mentioned to her and said, that is the shaitan that will come and he presses on your sickness to irritate it, to make you now commit an act of polytheism. So then, when you commit that act of polytheism, where your heart is connected to that affair that wasn't legislated by Allah, to remove that sickness by you tying something around you, the shaitan let go where the sickness became what? Where it abated as if you were what? Being cured. But it was in order to mislead you, to think that satanic, polytheistic practice actually has some good effect on you. That's the reason why he let go, the shaitan. So you increase in what? In more weakness in going far away from Allah. That's the reason why it says in the hadith, where the Prophet ﷺ said to the Sahabi who was wearing that ring that could move that sickness, he said, "Inzi'ha فَإِنَّهَا لَا تَزِيدُكَ إِلَّا وَهْنًا." Remove it, it will not increase you except in weakness. It will make you more sick. Thinking that and what? It affects or has some type of effect, but in actuality, it's increasing your weakness. That's the reason why you'll find of those who are attached to the magicians, soothsayers, fortune tellers, belief in bad luck, superstitions, myths, omens, going to fortune tellers, or their hearts are connected with these certain type of affairs, you'll find that they're always in a state of severe what? Anxiety and severe weakness. They're never at ease. And you'll find that their sicknesses in actuality increases. And it never abates and never goes away. And you'll find that the Muslims are those who are deviant, whose hearts are connected with the dead, from the Sufis and other than them, from the deviant sects, that you'll find that they're always in a state of what? Depression, or they're in a state of severe fright and horror. They're never at ease. They're never comfortable. They never relax. You'll find that this is the state of a lot of them whose hearts are connected with the creation generally, especially in regards to what we're speaking about now. It says here, those who are connected with magicians. And the great Imam Ibn Fawzan, he even mentions this. He said, for those who are connected with Sahara, those who are connected with the soothsayers and fortune tellers and the crystal ball readers and the jugglers and the astrologers and the dead and those who are close to shaitan. If a person believes that these people can benefit you or harm you besides Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala entrusts you to them as a punishment for you, and Allah tabarak wa ta'ala will go away, meaning He will not aid you in your affair, and He will entrust you to these people. That they cannot, or nor do they own any type of harm or benefit, nor death or life, nor can they resurrect or bring anyone back to life or affect anyone in the hereafter. So their connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been cut, in which Allah wa ta'ala is the one that has total domination of His kingdom, which is this dunya and this existence. So now Allah wa ta'ala cuts your connection with Him and entrusts you to these people. What comes as a result of it, what? You'll be afraid of everything. You'll be afraid, and you will never have any type of security within yourself. That's the reason why you'll find that people that always are involved in these matters, they're always in a state of fright and fear and severe anxiety. طيب. As we'll talk about the hadith that's going to come, inshallah, whoever comes to a soothsayer or fortune teller and believes everything that they, or just go to them, then their salat will not be accepted 40 nights. طيب. If that's the person that goes to them, like we said, and we'll talk about inshallah, what do you think will be the state of the person who's actually given some prediction of the unseen? That's just the hukum for the person who goes to them. Salat is not accepted. طيب. You'll find that Ahl-Ilm says for all the more reason that their salat will likewise not be accepted. Rather, their state and the magnitude, the level of evil that they're upon is way, way worse than the person who just came to them. You understand, everyone? طيب. That's all that is going to come, inshallah. That's the reason why all these matters of jahiliyyah, the person should stay far away from it, due to the fact that like we said, it will never increase a person except more weakness and more worries and more anxiety and fear. طيب. So it says in the hadith, whoever does this and he has committed polytheism, whoever's heart is connected with the creation in affairs of worship, then he will be entrusted to it. He will be entrusted to it. Meaning he will be entrusted to of the creation, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not aid him, and as a result of it, like we said, he will be in a state of something, or his state will be very severe and evil. We'll talk about that in a couple of classes that's going to come, inshallah, after this chapter is over. طيب. We know that it says in the hadith of what in most cases you'll find that a lot of women are involved in these matters. Especially during the times of Jahiliyyah, a lot of the women used to partake in magic the most. That's the reason why you'll find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Falaq, Naffathat. Notice He used the feminine. The women who blow on the knots. Naffathat fil uqad. Why in the particular ayah were women used? Because during the time of pre-Islamic ignorance, women were the ones who used to partake in this the most. They used to be from the magicians in a lot of cases. Even though there were men from amongst them, but a lot of them, in most cases, especially during the affairs of Jahiliyyah, were women. Especially even in these days. You'll find in those Muslim lands that a lot of the women are involved in magic. Which we'll talk about, inshallah, in the upcoming chapters. It's going to come, inshallah. طيب. Let's get to the next hadith. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned and said, on the authority of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, أَلَا هَلْ أُنَبِّئُكُمْ الْعَضَى. I think it's time for the adhan. It's time you want to call it. You play ball today or something? No ball today? أكبر الله أكبر. شنو لا إله إلا الله. شنو لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آتي محمد الوصيلة الفضيلة والبعث مقام محمود. اللهم في أمام قوة. نعم. طيب. Before we move on to the next hadith, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, that I mentioned and says, or the hadith of Abu Hurairah, what is the connection of the hadith to the chapter? I think it's clear. Whoever ties a knot, then they blow in it, then they indeed have committed magic. Whoever commits magic, he has committed polytheism. And whoever's connected with something, meaning their heart is attached to it, their heart is attached to it, meaning the type of worship, or the connection of worship, then he'll be entrusted to it. Type. I think the connection to the chapter, or the title of the chapter is clear, right everyone? It's clear. Inshallah, whether the person that partakes in magic, like we said, or rather it's the last part where it said that the one who's connected with something, then he will be what? He'll be connected with it, or he'll be entrusted to it. You'll find, we could suffice with that. If you go to the next hadith, when Yathai Abdullah ibn Mas'ud that mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ said, will I not inform you? Mal'ada. Another type of magic. Another type of magic is not in the far as in the hukum, but as far as in the natija, or the effect, or the ta'thir of it. Whoever, will I not inform you what is al-'adha? And another narration, what is al-'idha? You have al-'adha, and you have al-'idha. You have it, how it's been written in your books, al-'adha, with the ayn and the sukoon and the dad. There's another wazn when it says 'idha, from al-'idha, with a kasra under the ayn and a fatha on top of the dad. You have al-'adha, and you have al-'idha. So the message of Allah informed that it is what they call a namima, tail carrier. Tail carrier. The Messenger of Allah said, Hal unabbi'ukum. I know certain people would like to know what is the difference between Hal ukhbirukum or Hal unabbi'ukum. The difference between inba' and ikhbar is that inba' are only in affairs that are hamma, that are muhimma. They are only pertaining to affairs that are very important. The word inba'. Unabbi'ukum. Hal unabbi'ukum. Inba' means to inform, but however it's only exclusive for affairs that are very important. As the word ikhbar, ukhbirukum, linguistically in the Arabic language, could be for something important, and it could be something that's not that important. It's more general. However, in ba is more exclusive, it's more specific. Hal unabbi'ukum. So this affair is connected with something that is very important as to what follows, in which the Messenger of Allah ﷺ informed. Here, in this context where he said, will I not unabbi'ukum? However, like we said, the word in ba is for something that's very important. What is al-'adha? What is al-'adha? Al-'adha in the Arabic language means al-qata'. Al-qata' means to cut, to sever something. Al-'adha is a qata', it's to cut. It's to cut or sever something. Al-'idha, upon the second meaning, means tafriq. Means to separate. So you have one meaning which means to cut, and you have the second meaning which means tafriq. Separation. Separation. The Prophet ﷺ said, so basically now, if you find the whole chapter is connected with what? If you look at the title, what is it speaking about? Types of magic. So a person would think, based upon this hadith, that namima is a type of magic. What's the title of the chapter? Jade. So it's namima magic. But he put it in the chapter as it being a type of magic. Jade. Not as far as in its ruling. I mean, as far as the magnitude of the sin, as far as the practice of it. Meaning, of course, magic is higher than namima. Magic, as we know in its origin, is kufr. Namima is from the kaba'ir. We know magic in its origin is disbelief, especially if it's the usage by the shayateen, of course. However, tale carrying is from the major sins. Tale carrying is from the kaba'ir. Right or wrong, everyone? It's from the major sins. So why did the great Imam put this in the chapter? As far as he brought this to show you the deep understanding of him, rahimahullah, to show you what? That there are types of affairs that in its effect is like magic. In its effect is like magic. As far as in its effect, not as far as in its actual, is ruling in regards to the one who practices it. Meaning, magic is kufr. Magic is disbelief in its origin. However, like we said, tale carrying is from the kaba'ir, from the major sins. Tale carrying is from the major sins. How is it talking about, meaning as far as in its effect? Rather, you'll find that namima can have a more severe effect than just mere magic, as far as in its effect, not in its ruling. And it's the one who practices magic, no doubt falls into kufr. Like we said, look at magic as far as the ruling of it for the one who practices it and its effect, right? Then you have under it namima, right? The one who falls into it, commits it, and the effect of it. The one who falls in the practice of magic falls in kufr. In its origin, of course, depending on what type of magic they use. Depending on, of course, the details we talked about, right, everyone? Magic, its effect is kufr. A person who practices kufr. Then you have namima. Namima, from one who commits it, does he leave the fold of Islam? We say what? No. He's still Muslim. Found to a major sin. However, the effect can, not all the time, but it can. Its effect can be more devastating than just mere magic. As far as its effect. Not the actual practice of it is like magic, no. But as far as its effect. As we know, as a result of tale carrying, you find that, look to the hikmah, of course, why Islam, and this is just to show everyone how beautiful the religion is. Because they'll say this religion is a religion of violence, wreaking havoc upon society. So why did Allah Ta'ala prohibit tale carrying? To preserve what? Love amongst people. Because we know tale carrying can what? Destroy people's what? Relationships. Right or wrong? Someone come, so-and-so said such and such about you. He said, you're a fool, you're an idiot. Yeah, tell him I said such and such. And you go back, and he said such and such about. You understand? So this is to show how Islam calls to the preservation of what? Of communities and societies. And namima can lead to the destruction of communities and societies. Rather, if you look to history, namima was the cause of wars breaking out between populations and tribes and thousands of people. Whereas magic might only harm maybe a certain individual or a couple of people. But namima can affect a society of people where wars can break out. You understand? Where families are destroyed, relationships amongst loved ones are destroyed, and to the point where hurub, tahina, hasila, bisabab al-namima. That you'll find that wars, severe wars broke out because of what? Tale carrying. So you'll find that the effect of namima here in these particular instances are worse than what? So you find the diqqat al-fahm, the deep understanding of the great Imam of why he put this hadith in the what? In the chapter. Is it clear, everyone? طيب. As we know, namima is namima, rather it doesn't matter whether it's done, whether it's true or it's a lie. Tale carrying, if it's true, then a person, well, we could just say, if a person is saying something to you that's true, that so-and-so did say something to you about an individual. Type, if you go back and now relate it to him or her, and it's true, then that's namima. Doesn't matter whether it's true or it's not true, it's still namima. You understand? Yes, even if it is true. I'll talk about the exception to that in a minute. Don't worry. The origin is that if a person says something that's true about another individual to you, and you now take that tale and go back to another person and say what they said, that is considered what? Namima, whether it's true or not. It's still namima. If what comes as a result of it is some type of what? Some type of division or some type of cut, as the meaning linguistically is, cutting the relationship between the two people, comes as a result of it, or separating between them, then that's namima. Still, because the ultimate natija or the actual result of it was what? That you separated between two people. You understand? I'm going to give the exception in a minute, don't worry. There's only one, there's an exception, one. And I'll talk about that in a second. Type. That is the origin. Person always has, and I want everyone to be attentive to this. A person always has to be the one to sometimes when they hear things, to know that the narration stops at you. In a lot of cases, you're going to find that in life. That people say things to you, and you do not have to always convey it to the other person, especially if you're trying to what? Unify them. Or keep or preserve their relationship. A person always has to look, if I relay or convey this, what's going to be the ultimate result? Is it going to be something, or is the outcome going to be good? Or is the outcome going to be reprehensible? Is it going to be something corruptive or something evil that's going to come as a result of me conveying this back to such and such or so and so? That's what you have to look at. Is it clear what I'm saying so far? You have to look to have what they call bu'd an-nadhr, having what they call farsightedness of what will take place as a result of you conveying and going back and saying it back to that person. Is it going to preserve their relationship, or is it going to what? Separate them. And we know that in the narration of the Prophet ﷺ, we're going to talk about la kadhiba fi thalath, or there's no kadhiba fi islahi dhat al-bayn. There's another narration where the Prophet ﷺ mentioned and said that there's no lying and rectifying between two people. Meaning that you can even lie to bring people together. You see one of your two brothers? Listen. Yeah, huh? I'll say it again. There's no lie and rectifying between two people. There's no lying and rectifying between two people. What does it mean? So you could come up to so-and-so and say, you know what? You see your brother or someone else in your family. They're not speaking to each other. You just came and just said, he just told me yesterday you was a very beautiful person. He just told me yesterday you was real nice. Man, I don't feel like talking. I don't even feel like looking at him today. Actually, that's funny because he told me yesterday he was really looking forward to talking to you. Absolutely. Yes. Are you trying to rectify between them or not? I'll bring the hadith. Don't worry, I'll bring it in the next class. Don't worry, I'll bring it in the next class. I just said there was an exception. I was good. At any rate, there's an exception. Don't worry, I'll bring the narration, inshallah. Don't worry. There's not certain times what you can use what they call tawheed. Tawheed, which we'll talk about. There's certain exceptions to it with a wife, and that's details will come later. Tayyib. All that will come. I have to bring that down. That comes later. Tayyib. But at any rate, that is from one of them. I'm going to give it to you. Don't worry. Next class. It's called La Kadiba fi Islahi Dhat al-Bayn. There's no lying when you're trying to rectify between two people. People who are separated, they're not speaking to each other, so you're trying to bring them together. Trying to have something, do something for them to come back together and repair their relationship. Instead of you saying, yeah, you know, he did say something bad about you the other day, again, tayyib, which you're increasing more and more what? Division and hatred. Where you're trying, the ultimate goal is now to put some love in their heart for the person, soften up their heart so you can now repair their relationship. Huh? Don't worry, I'll bring the narration. I know some people was like, this is new. It's not. I've known this for years. Inshallah. Now, as far as in regards to Ahl-Bid'ah, or the people of innovations, that's something different. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. That's something totally different. For certain narrations of things that are made publicly, those things are different. We're talking about amongst the people from Ahl Sunnah, people whose Salafis, maybe something personal might have happened between them, something of an argument might have happened between them, severed their relationship, weakened their brotherhood. So you're trying to bring them together. You understand? Trying to bring them together, soften up one of them hearts to bring them together, what have you. So-and-so told me to give this to you. It might not be from him. Huh? You understand? That's to bring unification. Tayyib. So, if you now, we're going back to the origin of it, namima. If you now went back to the person, carried the tale, you went back to the person, if you now, let's just say what you conveyed is a lie. Now you found the two major sins. You found what they call baht or buhtan. You slandered the person, and on top of that you found to another major sin, which is namima. So you found the two major sins when you now tale carried back to another person and told a lie, and in addition to that, you what? You committed tale carrying. Is it clear what I'm saying? Tayyib. Now, if you told what's the truth, then you just merely fell into what? Namima. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Tayyib. Know for sure, based upon history, that namima, know for sure, wherever a person comes to you with some news, what a person is bringing something, what another person said, that they said about you, know for sure they're going to do the same thing back to you. Okay? That's known. If a person makes namima, they come to you with some type of news that so-and-so said such and such about you, they said such and such about you, to try to now arouse some type of response out of you so they can grab what you said and go back, they're going to do the same thing, what? They're going to reciprocate the same thing. You understand? فَمَنْ نَمَّ عَلَيْكَ فَيَنِمُّ فِيكَ. That's a poetry. That's a poetry. Oh, what's the poetry? Man, it's been years. There, now just remember it. There's the poetry, I think Imam Shafi'i. I forgot who the qa'il is, but anyway, it's been years. He says, لا تقبلن نميمة بلغتها وتحفظن من الذي أنبأكها إن الذي أهدى إليك نميمة سينم عنك بمثلها قد حكاها. I'll say it again. لا تقبلن نميمة بلغتها وتحفظن من الذي أنبأكها إن الذي أهدى إليك نميمة سينم عنك بمثلها قد حكاها. It's a poetry. That he says, do not accept the namima of what's been conveyed to you. Be on guard against the one who delivered it to you or conveyed it to you. وَتَحَفَّظَنَّ مِنَ الَّذِي أَنْبَأَكَهَا. Verily the one who gave namima as a gift to you, they're going to do the same thing back to you. They're going to take what you say and they're going to what? سَيَنِمُّ عَنْكَ بِمِثْلِهَا قَدْ حَكَاهَا. They're going to take the namima and say and ascribe it to you that you said such and such, and they're going to give it to someone else. And the same thing that they did to you, they're going to do it. They're going to utilize you in the same way that they want from the other person, from the first party, when they delivered that namima to you. Is it clear what I'm saying? طيب. So these type of narrations, brothers and sisters, to show how Islam is not a religion of chaos and havoc and severing ties and relationships. That's the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited all these matters. Out of preservation for one's brotherhood, their relationships with their families and their loved ones, and their communities and their societies. To preserve the love amongst them. Because these type of affairs destroys them. Destroys the brotherhood. Severs the ties between loved ones and destroys societies. And wars will come as a result of one committing these type of crimes. So namima, all in these narrations are all to show that Islam came to preserve relationships and love. For example, Prophet ﷺ said, لا يبيع بعض ولا يبيع أحدكم على بيع أخيه. For example, so many narrations. Prophet ﷺ, for example, not one of you sell or partake in a business transaction over the sale or the contract or business contract over his brother. Meaning once he started, it's not upon you now to go behind his back and say, psst, come here. How much he sold that for you? What was the price? It was like, he sold it to me for $10. I give it to you for $5. Just come over here. Huh? Once he's now entering a sale contract with your brother, you have to now what? Fall back. Once he's now, whether he either buys it or he might pull out of the sale, out of the sale transaction, you have to make sure. After it's been completed, then you can now what? Make the bargain. Say, listen, I have come over here at the same thing I'm selling that for. Come over here and I'll sell it to you. These narrations is to what? Preserve what, everyone? The brotherhood. Destroy your relationship. Because right now, if your brother, you're selling something, he's selling some type of product, and he found that you did that to him, he's going to start what? Hey, what's wrong with you? You see him trying to make the sale, and here you now trying to cross me, or double cross me, or undercut me. You understand? طيب. All these are narrations to show how Islam is not a religion of havoc, chaos, destruction of societies. These narrations clearly show that Islam came to uphold and preserve people's relationships, their love, and to keep the bond between everyone protected. Is it clear what I'm saying? Also the narrations Prophet ﷺ said, وَلَا يَخْطُبْ أَحَدُكُمْ عَلَىٰ خِطْبَةِ أَخِيهِ. Do not let one of you propose prepare a marital proposal over the marital proposal of his brother. Unless he what? He says that he's not interested, and he what? He makes it clear and he leaves it off. Or he gives you permission to say, all right, I'm cool. No, that's you can go ahead. It's no problem. Meaning that you ask, are you trying to marry such and such sister? Brother either say no or yes. If he says no, go ahead. He makes it clear, as it says in the hadith, or he makes it clear based upon you might have heard it discussed whether a person is reliable from the one who's responsible. No, the brother left off. You might have talked to the father. Is so-and-so still trying to marry her? The brother and the father or the one who's responsible says, no, he's finished. It's clear. So the coast is clear now. You understand? If that's not the case, the Prophet ﷺ made it clear, because we know women are very sensitive issues, especially when it comes to men. You now try to propose and marry and involve in an affair with a marital proposal with a woman, you find out that your brother's trying to sneak behind your back to marry her, that will cause also what? Destruction of what? Your brotherhood. Is it clear or is it not clear? Jay. As you know, we talked about this in Bulugh al-Maram. We talked about this hadith. This hadith is there. He says, until your brother tells you, he makes it clear and he says, no, I'm not involved in that matter no more. I'm done. You could go ahead. Or someone tells you that is involved with the sister's affairs. No, the brother's finished. He moved on. The sister moved on. Are you interested to the end of it? Is it clear? Fine. And the list goes on and on and on and on to show how Islam came to preserve the brotherhood of Islam, or the brotherhood of the people. But however, namima is a major crime because, like we said, as far as in its effect, it can sever the ties, or it can what? Separate between people. How is this the same as magic though? Because magic, listen to the ayah, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Surah Al-Baqarah, وَيَتَعَلَّمُونَ مَا يُفَرِّقُونَ بِهِ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَزَوْجِهِ. That they learn, meaning those magicians, what separates between a husband and his wife, or between two spouses, right? Type. Magic namima, doesn't it do the same thing as far as in its effect? Can it separate between two loved ones? It can. It can separate between two loved ones. That's the reason why, as far as in its effect, it's what? It can be like magic, or it could be even worse. Not as far as in its ruling, but however in its what? Effect. Not as far as in its ruling, as far as in its what? Its effect. So that's the reason why we say that the namima is what? Is impermissible. And we know also the Prophet ﷺ had talked about how the Prophet ﷺ talked about the major punishment in the hereafter, where he said, لا يدخل الجنة قتات, that the one who's a tail carrier will not enter paradise. لا يدخل الجنة قتات. قتات means namam, or washi. The word wusha. Anyway, ولا تطيع كل حلاف مهين هماز مشاء بنميم. Anyway, the Prophet, as Allah as a hadith says, one will not enter paradise, the qattat. Qattat means namam. And we know the Prophet ﷺ talked about of the reasons why people were punished in their graves. What was the reason? What was one of the reasons? It was tail carrying. Tail carrying causing division and dissolving the relationships of loved ones, of people who are united. They were bonded, had that love, that mutual love amongst each other. They came, did some tail carrying, destroyed their relationship. You understand, everyone? And that can even between, don't think that just goes for brothers and sisters. Brothers and brothers, or sisters and sisters. You could go even amongst between spouse and wife and spouse, with pillow talking in people's homes. Pillow talking. You have to be very careful. You understand, everyone? Especially men these days have to have strong minds. Like I said, I've heard a lot of things about a lot of people, a lot. Trust me, a lot. And I'm sure people hear a lot of things about me too. I'm not being an exception. But however, sometimes you have to be the person to stop it. It stops at you. You hear it, okay, I hear it. And it stops at me. There's no reason for me to go back to so-and-so and tell them. Unless it's something pertaining to the religion of affairs that's connected with the ulama, where we want some evil to be removed, that's something different. We'll talk about that later. We're talking about as far as in personal relationships amongst brothers and sisters that are from Ahl Sunnah, that are from the Salafiyyin. To preserve their relationships amongst each other is what is requested to the utmost. Certain people will come to you, and then they saying something in your ear, then you'll just be just like, you just say, usually, you know, us, from what we've been trained over in Medina, you know what we say when a lot of people come to us with some news, you're going to hear me say, Allah Musta'an. Allah Musta'an. What's your opinion? I don't know what to say, Allah Musta'an. So if the person now goes back, yo, you know what he said? Allah Musta'an. And you're just like, yeah, I did say that. I said Allah Musta'an. Did I say something wrong? Allah Musta'an. Especially if you have a sense in the back of your mind that this person isn't straight. And they're known to do this type of these type of ill, wicked acts. And you don't have full reliability in what they're saying. And you come and you just look at them and you just say, Allah Musta'an. Allah Musta'an, you don't give an answer? What answer you want me to give me? I'm listening to you. You have to be wise these days, brothers and sisters, because we live in a days of darkness and wickedness. People are very evil, and people do not like to see love amongst each other. They want to see people divided, people's relationships destroyed, people's love destroyed, no sisterhood, no brotherhood, especially amongst Ahl Sunnah, and especially amongst the Salafis. Shaitan wants to slip in the cracks and destroy their relationships. Because that's the best way you can destroy the people of the truth, is to destroy their relationships with one another. You clear what I'm saying, everyone? Like I said, as far as Ahl Bid'ah, there's something different. You can tell me all you want about them. طيب. At any rate, as far as in regards to these type of affairs in Namima, that is the reason why you'll find that the great Imam, that he put in the chapter that Namima is a type of what? It's a type of magic, meaning in its effect, not in its ruling. I want everyone to understand that clearly. Clearly. So I don't want nobody to go around and say that you fell into magic, you fell in the tail carrying, you fell in the kufr. I don't want nobody to say that. You want to clear what I'm saying? Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahab said it's from the type of magic. And this is the reason why you have to learn at the hands of someone who knows these affairs. Because now you read Kitaab At-Tawheed, and you have no explanation. You read it and you be like, and you're saying to yourself, wow, subhanAllah, this is a type of magic? A'udhu billah. So a person that committed namima, that means he fell into what? Magic. And that is a what? Wrong understanding. You understand, everyone? طيب, next hadith, we'll stop here, inshallah. طيب, the next hadith, on your thought, Abdullah ibn Umar, that the Prophet ﷺ said, Inna min al-bayani la-sihra. Verily, from clarification. Verily, of clarification is magic. From clarification is magic. طيب, the Prophet ﷺ talked about, or rather you'll find the great Imam Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahab rahimahullah. He's saying here this is another type of magic, that it could come in another form. Here it's talking about clarification, meaning what is done verbally. What is done as far as with the tongue. It can be as far as what? With the tongue. Matter of fact, I forgot to mention this. Matter of fact, I'll come back to it later. It says here that verily from clarification is most definitely magic. What is it speaking about here? As far as in how one's tongue can be very what? Eloquent. As eloquence can be so captivating to the point where you can what? Captivates one's mind and can affect their way they think or affect their minds or the way they think or their concepts and even their beliefs by that high eloquence. Doesn't that not happen or not? That one way that one can have their mind swayed or affected or changed due to what? Due to eloquent speech. And I've seen this happen so many times. Especially to women. طيب. So that shows that from speech there is magic. I'm going to read the story what even Umar al-Khattab even mentioned. Talk about, I don't have time to get into it today. طيب. It says, in regards to bayan, you have bayan, which means fasaha, high eloquence, where one's speech is embellished, decorated. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught mankind bayan, clarification, meaning the ability to express himself, to convey, to utilize speech to attain his daily needs and benefits, to facilitate and make it easy for him. As it says, Ar-Rahman, and it says in the ayah, خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانِ إِشْ عَلَّمَهُ إِشْ الْبَيَانِ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught the human being bayan, meaning the ability to what? To speak and clarify. In two ways. Number one, to clarify. The first one is clarifying what he wants or what he needs. Clarifying what he wants or what he needs. I think that's clear. For example, a person might say, a person says, I'm hungry. It's easy. Tell his mother or his father, Dad, I'm hungry. It's clear. So now I know what's wrong with you. My pain is in my body. My pain is in my arm. It's clear. So now the one who's listening doesn't have to figure out what's wrong with you. It's clear. So that type of bayan is a clarification, which is from the ni'mah of Allah upon the creation. Then you have a second type of bayan, Musa. The second type of bayan, which is what? Which is high eloquence. Where a person can decorate their speech. They can decorate their speech to the point where they can change one's thought process. Bayan. Or the noon. Where you could change one or alter one or affect or influence one's thought process. You can affect their concepts, their ideas, their belief. If you notice, brothers and sisters, if you notice in the beginning of the chapter, we said that there's types of magic which is called what? Sarf and altaf. We talked about that. Sarf, altaf. Sarf. We talked about this 3 weeks ago. There's some type of magic which is called sarf. And you have some type of magic which is called altaf. Sarf, meaning that magic, if it's practiced in certain ways, that it could cause one to hate a loved one. Or maybe be decorated in his mind as if they're unattracted to them. Or unattractive. After they was attractive, now they come and all of a sudden, in their eyes, they become what? Unattractive. So as a result of it, the husband does not want to what? Be involved or love or show some type of love to their what? To their spouse. Or vice versa. The woman see the husband is unattractive now, and all of a sudden, she's not attracted to him, and their relationship now is what? Is severed. That's called sarf, where now you're going away from the person. Then we know magic has the opposite effect, which is called altaf, where you become obsessed with a person. It's the total opposite. Where you can fall so deeply in love with a person until they become what? Obsessed. So magic can have both what? Both effects, right or wrong? It can make one not go away from the person, or it can make one be madly what? And loved and obsessed with a person. So what's the correlation now? A person would say, well, correlate between what we're talking about now in the hadith. Now, same thing in regards to this hadith. Same here. Same thing here. Same thing. Magic, as far as clarification and eloquence, could do the exact same thing. It could do what? Sarf, or it could do what? Altaf. It can make sarf, or it can make altaf. Sarf, it can make one hate the truth. Go away from it. Or it can make one what? Embark upon it and love it. Or it can make one embark upon embracing falsehood. Going away from the truth. So both can take place at the same time. Where a person goes away from the truth and they become obsessed with what? Falsehood. Is it clear what I'm saying? We know the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّمَا أَخَفُ مَا أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ مُنَافِقْ عَلِيمُ اللِّسَانِ. The Prophet ﷺ said, verily, the most so I'm in fear of my ummah is a hypocrite who's well versed and well decorated in what? His speech, meaning his tongue, meaning his speech. He said, what I'm afraid for my ummah is a hypocrite. And he's well versed and taught in his tongue, meaning in his speech. It's decorated. That he comes and he can what? Decorate falsehood. And make it be fair seeming and acceptable in the eyes of the people until they accept it and prefer it. And we know that has happened in the course of history. Throughout the time of history, you'll find that there were people of falsehood. People of falsehood in which the people of the truth, maybe he was not eloquent, but what he was upon was correct. But the person who was upon falsehood came with decorated speech to the point where the people became convinced and captivated of what he said until they preferred falsehood over what? The truth. So the aib is not the actual khalal, or the actual discrepancy is not in the truth, but sometimes it could be in the person who's what? Conveying it. Because sometimes he might not be well versed as far as in his speech, or how he conveys it, or how he speaks, or what have you. Whereas the other person is well what? Versed as far as in certain words and how he conveyed it, or meaning his demeanor, or maybe how he looks, and how he speaks, due to the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about the munafiqeen. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَهُمْ تُعْجِبُكَ أَجْسَامُهُمْ وَإِن يَقُولُوا إِيش تَسْمَعْ لِقَوْلِهِمْ كَأَنَّهُمْ خُشُبٌ إيش مُسَنَّدَةٌ تحسب كل صيحة عليهم عفوا يحسبون كل صيحة عليهم هم العدو فاحذرهم قاتلهم الله أن يفكون. To that ayah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about the hypocrites. He said, they come to you, how they look will please you, it will amaze you how they look. They were hypocrites, people of evil. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَهُمْ تُعْجِبُكَ أَجْسَامُهُمْ. That their bodies and the way they look will please you, will amaze you. And if they start to speak, why? You listen to what they have to say. Why? Because what they were saying was what? Was very decorated. Captivated you. They say they look nice, and how they're saying it is very captivating. وَإِن يَقُولُوا تَسْمَعْ لِقَوْلِهِمْ كَأَنَّهُمْ خُشُبٌ مُسَنَّدَةٌ. Verily, as if they're propped up what? Wood. Meaning, all these affairs are characteristic that the hypocrites who were misleading the people, that they had decorated speech. And their clarification until certain people became deceived by them, beguiled, captivated, and the people fell into listening to them. What came as a result of it? Was danger amongst the Muslims, because they came in the ranks and started destroying the Muslims from within, because they were hypocrites and they blended in with the people to destroy the Muslims from within. However, now in regards to clarification, you'll find that this was the howl of the hypocrite. Oh wow. The how of the hypocrite, I'm looking at the time. The how of the state of hypocrites, we got to stop. So this was the state of the hypocrites. So now what does the meaning of hadith? There's other affairs I wanted to talk about in this regard. What the ulama mentioned in regards to this narration here? That magic sometimes can come in the form of what? Of decorated, embellished speech. A person could deceive you by it. How many people I've seen all day, if a person does not have insight, I've seen so many callers of people that have deceived the people easily by their speech, decorated speech. And you see it. I've seen it happen a lot to a lot of people. And due to the cause of what we see, currently see today, what we see now in the da'wah, of people who just have decorated speech, and what you'll find even in the churches amongst the Christians, that they do a lot of what? Decorated speech. But if you get to the actual quintessence of what they're saying, all of it is just basically motivational speech. That's all it is. But the people, due to the fact that they lack of knowledge, or they're just catering to their emotions. It's just motivational. But they're not properly being guided by anything. But if it seems as if it's what? Captivating, fair seeming to the people. So then they embrace it, and as a result of it, they become what? Misguided. I'm sure we all have seen this so many times from so many people. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? طيب. So the last part of the hadith. So now, a person would say, what about a person that utilizes speech or decorated speech for conveying the truth? Is that praiseworthy? What's it fall in the hadith here? That's what we'll get into next class. We'll find Umar al-Khattab, if I'm going to bring out other next class, where he said, well, you use the sihr al-halal. They use a halal type of sihr. What he was talking about here, he's talking about what? Decorating the haqq. That's what he's speaking about. Decorating the truth. I'll talk about that next class. It's going to come, inshallah. Decorating the truth and establishing the truth and demolishing falsehood. We'll talk about that next class, inshallah. Say it again. Record it? Oh, next one. Okay. Also, I'm going to bring that hadith about La kadhiba fi islahi dhat al-bayn, and we'll get that too. Don't worry, I can find it now. طيب. Any questions about the lesson? تفضل Ahmed. Say it again, Ahmed, I couldn't hear you. Mm-hmm. What do you say about the Prophet? As far as what? As far as in sales transactions? Do not let one of you sell over the. You can say, not one of you partake in a. I'm trying to make it easy so we want sale transaction. A sale. Not let one of you sell. They say cut. But here's talking about bay'. It says la yabi'. It's like a sale transaction, like a sale business transaction. Do not let one of you sell over the sale transaction of his brother. I think that's how you would translate it. You come with something better, let me know. And the other one is, do not let one of you propose in a marital proposal over his brother. Yeah. طيب. Anything else? You said some Hassan? You had your hand raised? I'm sorry. تفضل عمر.
So, as far as a marriage proposal, you said unless your brother tells you he's not interested, or the overseer.
Mm-hmm.
What if she denies marriage and the brother still persistent on trying to?
If she denies it?
She denies. She says she's not interested. She don't want to deal with it. But the brother's still trying to
pursue it. That's only if she denies it, but it has to be made clear though.
Right.
That goes back to the wali or the wakil. Doesn't matter what he says. If the wakil says no, that's squashed. And even if he was interested, I'm not marrying off to him. Or my daughter, I'm not marrying my daughter off to him. He made it clear. Khalas. It's like, you understand? Of course. Once the father or the one who's in charge, the brother, family makes it clear, we're not. That's done. It's a finish. It's a finished deal. Done deal. We're not interested. We made that clear to him, but he's still pursuing. No, that's on him. You understand? You can't now pursue a situation that nobody's not interested in anymore. If that's clear, then the person can now embark upon proposal or marriage proposal to that particular sister. Allah knows me. You again, Ahmed? Tafaddal. Ahmed is funny. Ahmed, whenever I have a bad day, he makes him. Tafaddal. Not praying before you go to bed at night. That is permissible. Yeah, that's it, absolutely. Huh? What happened? He said he taught you that. He taught him that, or he taught him? Abdullah, he taught you that. Any other question? Any other question? Father Hassan.
You said that clarifying that, like, Allah made like you clarify what they want and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so why wouldn't like you know you like at age about like 4 or 3, why would you be able to clarify what you want like that?
I mean, that time it depends on. Well, usually around that age, babies know how to speak now. Hold up, Ahmed. Hold on for a second. No, I mean, at the age, of course, we know ultimately Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed people to now learn speech. As a result of now, like we said, from the benefits of it, is that you're able to convey what you want. It makes it easy upon not only yourself, but people around you to know what's going on with you. If a person, a little child, 4 years old, says, I'm hungry, it's easy. I know what he wants, so now I'll feed him. Or I have to use the bathroom. Okay, now it makes things, when a person's not able to speak, it makes things difficult. Not only the human being himself, but the one who's listening to him, trying to figure out what's wrong with him. You understand? How many babies are you trying to figure out where their pain coming from? At the stage of infancy, how many of us try to figure out the baby's in pain, you're just scratching your hair, what's wrong with her? You understand? You think it's something is something else. That's from the ni'mah of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave human being what? Clarification, to be able to convey things so it can be easy upon the people to know what's going on. That's the ni'mah of Allah. Convey what you want. So that's the reason why. So beginning infant stages, you see the difficulty and then it becomes easy. Where now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows a person to learn speech so it can be easy upon the people. So the people will know what is going on with the person. Medically, as far as food, as far as needs, to the end of it. You understand, everyone? Yeah, that's the first type. Just regular speech. Absolutely. Languages also. That's also a ni'mah of Allah. It's from the signs that there's a creator. The fact that we speak is a sign that Allah is the creator. It is. That's another sign that Allah exists. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a creator. Just merely seeing our speech, how we can convey, talk, speak to one another. And the different types of languages there are. It's another one. It's another sign. طيب, anything else? Last question, Ahmed. Just put hypnotism. Don't put tanweem and mighnatisi. Just put hypnotism. Hypnotizing. Hypnotizing. Is that it, everyone? Who? طيب وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. We didn't pray Shay, did we? We prayed. Oh, I'm about to say.